I think we're ready to go. Greetings one and all, this is Lloyd Brown and welcome social media family to Lloyd Brown Music. Now when I was recording the In the Lab video, something occurred to me and I decided to Google and get the right information. And the right information I got. So it actually spurred me into making another video. It was a video I had no intention of making, but it had to be made simply because of its relevance and importance in pop culture amongst the black community. And with that, I want to celebrate Babylon. Some of you might say, we are talking about celebrate Babylon. We don't celebrate Babylon around here in a Rasta. No, it's not that kind of Babylon I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating Babylon, it being the title of one of the most influential, powerful black British movies ever made. Let's get into it. Babylon is a 1980 British drama written and directed by Franco Rosso, also written by Martin Stellman, whose credits include Quadrophenia, and shot by two-time Academy Award winner Chris Menges, whose credits include The Killing Fields. Babylon is an incendiary portrait of racial tension and police brutality set in Brixton, London. The film, anchored by Dennis Bovell's propulsive score, is partly based on Bovell's false imprisonment for running a sound system, Sufferers Hi-Fi, in the mid-70s. Produced by Gavrik Losey and the National Film Finance Corporation, this film is regarded as a classic.
Why am I riding? No, but you can just get past up and ride this thing.
Look, hey, people might have pulled you down. You're gonna get killed, guy. That thing going to turn on you. Turn on him, I'll sit on him.
Babylon follows a young reggae DJ, Blue, played by Brinsley Ford, former frontman of the British reggae group Aswad, of the Ital Lion sound system in Thatcher-era South London, as he pursues his musical ambitions while also battling fiercely against the racism and xenophobia of employers, neighbours, police and the National Front. Truly stellar performances come from an ensemble cast featuring Carl Howman as Ronnie, Trevor Laird as Beefy, Brian Bovell as Spark, Victor Romero Evans as Lover, David N. Haynes as Errol, Archie Poole as Dreadhead, Mel Smith as Alan, Beverly Michaels as Elaine, Stephen Khalifa as Fat Larry, and Mark Monero as Carlton, to name a few.
But now is the time for the beginning. What the people believe we are thinking.
You ain't gonna get it.
I want my hat.
No.
You got me into a whole lot of trouble yesterday.
Good.
Yeah?
You tell me record virus, you know. Put it back on. Put it back on. Put it back on.
Put it back.
No. Ah.
Give me my hat.
Ah.
Give us it.
Ah. I'm gonna tell you.
Babylon was filmed on the streets of Deptford and Brixton, South London. The story centres on sound system culture and themes of police brutality, racism, poverty and disillusionment with lack of opportunities. Babylon was filmed on a 6-week shooting schedule, entirely on location in South London and the West End. The production headquarters were above a rambling church in Deptford. The set was totally closed to visitors, including journalists, because of the film's sensitive subject matter and the fact that shooting was taking place in an area of London where there was racial tension. The cast of actors were carefully chosen with the help of casting director Sheila Trezise, Franco Rosso and Martin Stellman, who all already had many contacts within the black community. Aside from the regular actors, there were many extras. The vast majority were West Indians living around the Deptford, Lewisham, Peckham and Croydon areas. Babylon world premiered at Cannes' Semaine de la Critique in 1980. It was released in the United Kingdom in late 1980 and appeared at the 1981 Toronto International Film Festival on the 11th of September 1981. Originally deemed too controversial and likely to incite racial tension to play at the New York Film Festival, the film was not released in the United States until the 8th of March 2019. On the 20th of August 2019, Babylon was finally released on Blu-ray and DVD in America. Franco Rosso, born 29th of August 1941, died 9th of December 2016, was an Italian-born film producer and director based in England whose films demonstrate rare sympathy and understanding with minority groups in general, immigrant minority groups in particular. He is known for making films about black British culture, and in particular for the 1980 cult film Babylon about black Jamaican youth in South London, which was backed by the National Film Finance Corporation. Rosso was born in Turin, Piedmont, Italy, but grew up in London, where his parents, who had been flat workers in Turin, brought him when he was aged 8. After attending comprehensive school in Battersea, Rosso went on to Camberwell School of Art and the Royal College of Art, at which he was a contemporary of Ian Dury. He was an assistant on Ken Loach's 1969 film Kes, and his subsequent career as a filmmaker has encompassed feature films as well as television documentaries and series. Working as an editor, producer, director and writer. In 1981, he won an Evening Standard Award for Most Promising Filmmaker for his 1981 drama Babylon, which was called by New Britain fanzine as one of the best British films ever made. So that is the official blurb more or less over and done with. I want to take the opportunity to thank all who contributed towards Wikipedia to help me in making that montage. Now, we can't be talking about Babylon the movie without talking about Babylon the soundtrack. They go together like Sunday rice and peas. What more can I tell you? I want to give you my personal highlights. I don't really want to go into a blow-by-blow description of each and every track of the soundtrack. As much as I love the soundtrack, there's no battery that lasts long enough in this phone for me to go into that. So I'm going to talk about highlights of the soundtrack that may or may not resonate with you, but here goes. Cassandra, thank you for the many things you've done. I think it was done by Betty Wright originally. I'm quite sure of it. If not, let me know in the comment section below. But Cassandra's version, there is no other visual reference I can pay towards that song apart from the visual reference in the movie. That's what describes the emotion of that track to me. That track became so popular that Delroy Wilson done a cut of that tune. Although his tune was more of a two-step kind of vibe. Cassandra's version was more the quintessential lovers rock style we come to know and love. Absolutely love that track. Gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling inside every time I hear it. Next up, Yabby You, Deliver Me From My Enemies. Now, once again, you hear that tune playing in the sound system, it has resonance in a particular way. But when you see the imagery associated with that song, it just takes on a whole new different meaning again. And I remembered watching that scene in the cinema and it absolutely gave me goosebumps, till. It wasn't until 27 years later that I decided to cover that track because that track was so influential for me. Deliver Me From My Enemies, which I recorded for the Silver album. Absolutely powerful song. Yabby You, one of the great roots producers of our time and of our generation. Dennis Bovell does what it says on the tin. Do you know what I mean? Dennis Bovell's got a handful of soundtracks within the album, but my favorite two pieces from the soundtrack is Just a Piece and Beefy's Theme. Just a Piece reminds me of the composer Lalo Schifrin. If you don't know who Lalo Schifrin is, just Google him. Better than that, watch Quincy on Netflix and you'll know all about it. It's just one of those tunes, right, that it just evokes an air of tension. It's like you just didn't know what to expect. You didn't know what was going to be happening within the scene when that track was basically played. It was just that impending threat of something that I really liked. But Dennis emulated or captured the tension with that track and with that scene in the West End. Beefy's Theme. That droning trombone. It just captures Beefy to a T. I can't listen to that without having a smile on my face. Because it always refers to the African Ridgeback, man. It always refers to that. Every time I hear them, brings a smile to my face. Dennis is just a genius in capturing that kind of vibe, you know what I mean? And last but by no means least, Aswad's Warrior Charge. Why does Warrior Charge resonate with me so much? I'm gonna tell you. And it all pertains to the next section I'm gonna talk about, which is my favorite scenes from the movie. Now, if I have to pick two favorite scenes from the movie, one you've already seen in the montage, which is Carlton Blue and the Pillar Fight. Because I was Carlton. Leroy, my brother, was Blue. Me putting on Leroy's tam, eating a banana, dancing around a radiogram. Leroy, my brother, he wouldn't hit me with a mere sofa pillow. Oh no, he would go one extra, pin me down on the sofa, sit on my head and fart on my head. Now that's trauma. That might have been funny to people back in the day, but that's child abuse in 2020. You know what I'm saying? Chum, I never deal with pure wickedness, man. But my second favorite scene from the movie, which resonates with me so much, is the Fat Larry scene where Dreadhead goes to buy a dub from Fat Larry. Now, when I saw that scene in the Rio Cinema in Dalston back in the day, one, you was able to smoke in public places. So I don't even need to finish that paragraph, okay? And two, when the dry dubplate version of Warrior Charge was played in that scene, the cinema went absolutely nuts. Absolutely bonkers. Because we had already heard it a few months before. Now I'm gonna go back to Aswad when they performed that track live at Notting Hill Carnival. And they were supporting Eddie Grant. And I remember distinctly because when the film was released in Cannes, we didn't really know anything about the movie before Brinsley actually mentioned the fact that Warrior Charge was part of the soundtrack of the movie. So we didn't know what to expect. But as soon as we heard pop, 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 listen, I turned round and there was just a sea of Lux. There was a sea of Tams and Lux like that. It was just like that. And just like you saw in the movie, it was nuts. Absolutely. Bananas. And Warrior Charge still remains as one of the great anthems, the great instrumental anthems ever to come out of the UK. It's up there in the top 5 at least. Warrior Charge influenced me so much that I decided to relick that rhythm track. And to get a more authentic sound, on the original version, you had Vin Gordon, Michael Rose, and Eddie Tantan Thornton playing horns. On my version, Food for Thought, I got Tantan, Michael Rose, Henry Mattix, aka Buttons, for the old foot man them, and also Tata, who was in the band at that time as well, to get a more authentic feel. So that was as close to Aswad as I could get by utilizing those musicians in creating Food for Thought, which is on the Against the Grain album. But yeah. Such an influential movie. So in conclusion, I want to wrap up by basically saying this. There was a person who reviewed the movie, and that person said that Babylon shaped their life. And I can completely understand that, because for me, it did the same thing. It did absolutely the same thing. That movie came out in 1980, and that was 2 years prior to me becoming a professional musician in this music business. And the journey I took from then till now has all been part of the influence that movies like Babylon and the soundtrack that was provided in that movie gave to me. It was such a powerful benchmark for me in my life and career. So before I bounce, I want to ask you guys, what's your favorite scenes in the movie, and what did Babylon do for you watching that movie from 1980? How did the movie inspire you, affected you, effected you? Let me know in the comment section below. So it's with that, I'm going to bid you guys an adieu. I hope you full enjoyed impromptu video, but I thought it had to be made. It needed to be made because 40 years is a massive milestone. Oh, and before I go, I want to give an honorable mention to Menelik Shabazz, who made a movie called Burning an Illusion the following year in 1981. You have Babylon, which is up there, and you have Burning an Illusion, which is like there. It's like it's up there as well. And it kind of counterbalances the black experience, as it were. I found that movie to be very inspiring and very empowering as well. Anyway, so it's with that, I'm going to bid you guys adieu for now. And as always, you don't know the coup. People, please abstain from foolishness wherever possible. Even your own, even my own. So until we link up next time on the next exciting installment of Lloyd Brown Music, people stay blessed. I'm out of here. Maganski. Laters.